Hi everyone! I guess many of you have heard hundreds of times that Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire is a movie that lacks quality and a well-developed script. Looking at the box office numbers might make it seem like the trilogy's third part had no problems at all. However, audience and critic ratings leave much to be desired. When Spider-Man 3 first came out, its fans almost obliterated it with their reviews. Even Sam Raimi admitted that Spider-Man 3 was a complete failure for him. Some may not agree, but the majority of opinions still converge on one point. The third part with Tobey's Spidey didn't succeed, and there is a pretty understandable explanation for that. The producers simply didn't allow the director to make a good film, injecting their commercial ideas that ruined the overall concept. For example, they forced Raimi to include Venom in the trilogy. The studio planned to sell merchandise related to Venom, but the director had no desire to create a story with this villain, because in his opinion, Venom didn't fit into the concept of the third part, let alone the entire trilogy. He also believed that this character lacked humanity. However, the company bosses didn't care about the creator's views, so the director had to come up with a plot different from the original ideas. The result was Spider-Man 3 in 2007. Certainly, during the creation of the film, Raimi had numerous other ideas for the third part that were ultimately not released. We will discuss them shortly, but what was Sam Raimi's director vision for the film? Let's dive into all of this in this video. Let's go! So, after the success of Spider-Man 2, Sony immediately started developing the next movie of their new franchise. The director was tasked with creating the plot in the shortest time possible, because according to the contract, the rights to Spider-Man would revert to Marvel if they didn't produce at least one film about the friendly neighborhood every 5 years. Eventually, Raimi presented the studio with a script where the main villains were Vulture and Sandman. Naturally, there was no storyline involving the symbiote or introduction of Venom. The synopsis of the script goes like this. During a bank robbery by the Vulture, Parker apprehended Adrian, sending him behind bars. In prison, his cellmate turned out to be Flint Marko, who had already gained the powers of Sandman, also due to a run-in with the web-slinger. Both antagonists wanted revenge on Peter, so they orchestrated a riot, escaped from prison with other inmates, and then mass chaos erupted in New York. Spider-Man tried to stop it all. The villain's plans was to wear down the hero and when the time came, finally kill Parker. Based on the available information, this plot doesn't seem much better than the final Spider-Man 3. However, Sam Raimi likely would have improved the script somehow. It was scrapped because the studio considered Vulture's motivation for revenge against Spider-Man unconvincing, and they found Toomes to be an uninteresting and not memorable antagonist. Instead, they proposed introducing the legendary and beloved Venom. In the end, Eddie Brock and Harry Osborn replaced Adrian as villains, and the entire plot was rewritten. Of course, since the director didn't want to include Venom in his film, ideas on how to portray this villain on big screen kept changing throughout the creation of the prequel. Nevertheless, he did everything possible to pay homage to the iconic character in the Spider-Man universe, recognizing its significance to many people. Many artists even drew various concept arts of Venom. Interestingly, they initially planned to make him purple. Other creators of Spider-Man 3 experimented with bringing the villain to life. They crafted animatronic Venom with an opening mouth, a moving tongue, and jaws that extend. Some scenes were actually shot with this animatronic, but they were later deleted. In reality, this version of the villain is the closest to the comics. It not only looks menacing, but also stays true to the canon. However, it was abandoned for quite understandable reasons. While animatronics look really cool, they are challenging and expensive to maintain. Another issue was that it was difficult to film the animatronics due to their limited movement. Overall, Sam Raimi, being a horror movie director, tried to emphasize the horror and monstrosity of the character when creating Venom, thus exploring the potential of Spider-Man 3 as a horror film. Most likely, not many of you have heard about the alternative ending of Spider-Man 3. When Parker stuns the antagonist, he tried to pull Eddie out of the symbiote. However, it was in vain, since only Brock's skull and a pile of bones remained. Then, an enraged symbiote attacked Peter, attempting to reclaim the hero's body. Somehow, the spider managed to break free and permanently destroy Venom. Speaking of other villain concept art, they were so diverse that even led to sketches you are currently witnessing on your screen. Sometimes, the creators veered too far from the character's canonical image. Primarily, Venom here resembles some typical extraterrestrial horror creature, as if events were unfolding somewhere in space. However, aside from that, there are also some intriguing designs. For example, ones like this. In these artworks, it's evident that Raimi was clearly inspired by the Ultimate Universe, as Venom there was also of purple hue and had a similar appearance. However, what doesn't apply to all the villain sketches is that Venom in them is much smaller in size compared to the comic book versions. This was done according to filmmakers for the practicality of the symbiote suit during the film shoots. Because if it were enormous, the actor simply wouldn't be able to wear it. Fortunately or unfortunately, Venom is not the only scene that underwent changes in the process of creating Spider-Man 3. The design of the black spider suit was also altered. Initially, it was entirely smooth and not at all similar to Parker's red and blue attire. The spider logo on this version of the suit was done in a different style, but why in the end did Sam Raimi decide not to use that design? It's crystal clear. In reality, this version of the symbiotic suit looked quite absurd. Actually, the image displayed on your screen confirms this. There are also numerous concept arts of other characters, such as the Green Goblin and Sandman. Flint Marko's sketches are nearly indistinguishable from the final version. However, there were some changes for Osborn. In the early concept arts, Harry also wore a long jacket, and unlike the original, his face wasn't entirely covered. Goblin's pumpkin bombs could have looked slightly different as well. Surprisingly, I managed to dig up concept art of the lizard for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. Although the director didn't plan to include Connors as the antagonist in the story, it seems he decided to ask the artists to sketch how the lizard would look in the film, just in case. The rest of the drawings essentially represent unreleased plot twists and decisions. Let me tell you about the most interesting ones. Initially, when the symbiote bonded with Spider-Man, it was winter outside. Sandman's criminal activities were also planned to be shown, specifically bank robberies. Instead of MJ in the final scenes, Parker was supposed to save the troubled Gwen Stacy, and of course, the concept art of that sand castle, known to us from the deleted scene with Flint's daughter, had to be included here. Analyzing the concept art for Spider-Man 3, it's fascinating to see the creative process and the alternate directions the filmmakers considered. The diverse designs for characters like Venom, Green Goblin and Sandman showcase the complexity of bringing these iconic figures to life on the big screen. The changes in the lizard concept art, even though not initially planned for the film, provide insight into the potential directions the story could have taken. The variety of ideas, from the winter setting during the symbiote bonding to Gwen Stacy replacing MJ in certain scenes, reflect the dynamic nature of filmmaking, where choices impact the narrative and character arcs. Moreover, the glimpse into the unused sandcastle scene adds an intriguing layer to the Sandman storyline. Overall, the concept art offers fans a behind-the-scenes look at the creative brainstorming that goes into crafting a superhero film. While not all ideas made it into the final cut, exploring these alternatives sparks curiosity about what might have been, and emphasizes the collaborative and evolving nature of filmmaking. In reality, after analyzing all I have mentioned, the words about Spider-Man 3 turning into a legendary film if the producers hadn't intervened don't seem as believable anymore. Unfortunately, we will never know for sure. But you, my dear viewers, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel and write what you think about it in the comments below. We'll see you soon.